Good morning, YouTube. My name is Ninja7, your resident Mistweaver Monk, and guys, today we're actually pushing the highest key level I've ever done. Here are the talents. I am talking after the fact, so you'll have to go back and pause that, but some notable things is these talents are not perfect. If I could go back and change things, I definitely would. I kind of just like slapped this build together and then ran a key with it. And I kind of just applied to a bunch of keys, threw a bunch of darts at the board, and one of them stuck, and it was a 23. So, very difficult key, at my level. I don't tend to push keys this high. But recently I've had a lot of, I've really wanted to. Also, that weak aura is amazing. If you guys don't have it, I'll have it down in the description. The Afflicted Shouting weak aura. But like I said, I've really wanted to try to push more keys lately. Now this is way too late in the season to try to push anything meaningful, but I definitely want to try to push like up high and like actually care about my rank on the leaderboards, and try to gain some credibility that way.
Afflicted.
So here you see kind of a big struggle in the dungeon. So we don't have too many people that can like dispel the afflicted ad. So what we have to do is we actually have to heal one of them, especially because this debuff, by the way, I don't think that death was had anything to do with us, but this debuff we absolutely have to dispel. I mean, you guys see how much damage it does if you don't dispel it. It can definitely kill your team. So with us using our dispel there on our teammates, these afflicted ads, like I said, they need to be healed. And here I'm able to heal both of them, but just barely. Now, one thing you'll probably notice is in my build, I'm running Clouded Focus. Clouded Focus is definitely what pushes our raid build over the edge. But like I said, I kind of just slapped this build together, and Clouded Focus kind of saves a lot of situations in this run. It's such a powerful ability, and yeah, Ancient Teachings and fist weaving in general is just the way to go in Mythic Plus, and it's especially now that it's buffed. But Clouded Focus just shows its true strength on Afflicted Week. I think we have a lot of different ways to deal with Afflicted mobs. We don't have as many instant ways like Discipline Priest, because they can just like, what's that word? Power word life, I think, is what it's called. The one that just like basically tops. Afflicted. It's like an execute heal. That one's really good. But we have our Dispel, which on packs like these we have to use on our allies. We have our Shayloon's Gift, which it doesn't work if we target one of our allies, but if we actually target the afflicted mob with Shayloon's Gift, it'll cast it on the afflicted mob and fully top it up in most cases, while cleave healing a lot of healing onto our allies. So we have a couple different ways, but then also just when we run Clouded Focus, it kind of just lets us like really quickly top up. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not super fast. And you see there, I let an ally die. That was totally on me. I should have dispelled my ally or focused on my ally instead of healing the afflicted mob. But, like I said, or I don't know if I've said this yet, but there are a good bit of mistakes. Look, I am not a perfect player, and I am definitely punching above my weight here in this key. Because, like I said, I have not pushed keys this high this season. I'm not used to, stressing this much about getting the healing done. Also, we just get clapped there. We had the dot on ourselves, and then we got hit by one of the wind bolts. But you'll see that this struggle here at the early part of the dungeon. Now, I will say this could have been fixed by, picking people that can dispel the mobs better. To kind of help me with that, so that they can dispel the two mobs, and then I can just focus on dispelling the dot. However, that's just a pain point that we're going to have to deal with the rest of the dungeon. But these mobs, these ones that put the dot on you, they're kind of only here at the first few packs. So I just know that it's going to get even more clean from here on out. So although it's unfortunate that we've lost some people, especially some avoidable deaths on my part, we definitely could have saved more people. It's kind of goes to show, I'm at this point, I'm like, hey, this group's like kind of solid. This group's really good. If anything, it's very obvious that I am the weak point of this group. So I just need to kind of clean it up, and we'll time this key. But One thing that I keep mentioning and kind of going back to is that I'm not as comfortable with a lot of the mechanics, or the timings, I should say. At this point, I know most of the mechanics of all the little ad packs and mobs and bosses, but it's mostly the timings of when things happen. You know, some people they kind of know what to look for in certain packs. What's the danger points? I'm just not as, you know, fresh on that really this season. So you'll see that struggle a little bit, but it really shows on the bosses. So this is Tyrannical Week, so you'll see, look, I had to kind of panic and Shaylin's gift, and it still didn't top it up. I'm like, oh no. And then I top it up pretty easily, but you'll see that happen. You'll see on the bosses, I kind of get into a little panic situation, and not being comfortable with this build, not having done any practice before this run. Why I didn't do that, I have no idea, but why not having done it, you'll see that I do make some very stupid mistakes on bosses where, spoiler alert, I will die on some of the bosses because of very, very avoidable deaths and very stupid things. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things in the build that we have going for us. So, like I said, it is like a caster style build, but we all know that these are not as efficient as the fistweaving builds, because the fistweaving can put up very competitive healing to these, if not more healing in most scenarios. But one thing is that we do use a bit more mana than fistweaving, but we have a lot more like on-demand healing, like on-demand instant top you up healing that fistweaving doesn't really have. The only downside is the trade-off there is that we don't have, whoa, I almost got hit there by that orb, but we don't have as much like steady throughput. See, like right now I'm not doing any healing, so I'm just relying on the tank being the only one to take any meaningful damage, and tanks just being strong right now, which you can kind of get away with in most cases in Dragonflight right now, because tanks, especially Guardian Druids, are so strong. But when it comes to the scenarios where everyone's taking constant damage, as long as I'm channeling a Vivify, or channeling a Soothing Mist, spamming Vivifies into someone while there are a good number of Renewing Mists out, we'll do a ton of healing. It'll feel almost as if we have like a cooldown running, as long as we ramp up those Renewing Mists, kind of like our raid build. So we have a lot more on-demand healing than just what our cooldowns are. I thought I dispelled that guy, but I did not. And you see there, an Afflicted cast gets off right at the worst time. These moments are terrifying when he does that channel when all the orbs come in. But we survived. We had to use Revival there, but you'll notice we have Yu'lon. Now, you could easily still go Chi-Ji here in this build, and I'm sure it would be fine. It's just Yu'lon I kind of wanted for more of a instant top up as opposed to the more steady throughput of Chi-Ji. Plus, when you're not running Feline Stomp, you just lose a lot of that value from Chi-Ji of the cleaving blackout kicks. Literally, if there are 3 mobs in your face, you can just press blackout kick and have a free renewing mist, or I'm sorry, enveloping mist. See, like right there, I mean, we just get so much healing from Yu'lon. Just doing a couple of enveloping mist and just instantly topping up with 2 casts of Vivify. It's pretty nutty how much healing you can do in a second. But like I said, like fistweaving has more, like a lot of that same throughput in their Chi-Ji, because they just can just abuse Chi-Ji so much. But right there, first boss done, and without a death, pretty easy, I'll say. I didn't even use a lot of mana. I was kind of scared of my mana bar before this. I drank before this, but we kind of get it done, and it kind of shows how strong Yu'lon is. And at this point in the dungeon, I'm like, wait, we're probably going to time this. Like, this is kind of fun. I kind of just queued up a random dungeon with a random build and just wanted to see if I can get it done, and we're kind of doing it. So I just keep thinking that we need to time this. We need to just keep playing smooth. Just make sure the healing gets done. Just take care of affixes, and my DPS are absolute bosses. They will take care of the damage, and that's kind of what happens now. Right here, and especially on very dangerous mobs like this, like mob packs like this, I am focusing on a little bit more damage than normal. Now, it's obviously not as much damage as we can do if we're fist weaving, but I just wanted to at least get some damage in, so I'm going to spam spinning prank kicks, but look how dangerous these packs are. One little slice, it half healths me, and there are so many of these mobs. The Cloudburst, we can't let a single one get off or it will just absolutely chunk us, especially now that things are dying. So I'm just really, I have my teammates' health bars in my peripheral. I was just staring at the cast bars, trying to do whatever I can. You saw me kind of like load up a Ring of Peace a couple times and not actually need it. Now, this pack I definitely underestimated. I was not prepared for these icy, what is it, buffets, icy buffet, whatever you want to call it. I was not prepared for how much damage they do. For some reason, I was just thinking like, oh, this pack's not scary. And you see there, dude, I dropped scarily low. Look at that. Oh my God. 3 times in a row, I basically got lucky. If I hadn't have Healing Elixir, I was a goner. Now, why am I not Yuloning here? I cannot tell you. It would be so nice to just have all those hots out. But there, I Yulon and get good value from the Chi Cocoon. But it is just... it's a little late. I had to waste revival there too. Just horrible prep on my part. But like I said, I am not like a master at these dungeons. I wish that I had more time this season to sit down and push keys like this and get used to things like that. Like, you know, what's actually doing the damage and kind of be able to prep for that. But, you know, I can only say it I can only say it so many times. I just did not push keys like I would want to this season. I'm just not as familiar with the mechanics. But we're doing okay with the affix. One thing I haven't even touched on yet is you guys see me kind of struggling with the affix. Here we're on another pack that applies that dot, and you see me struggle with it when the affix comes out. But I have a Mouseover Maccro that I have. It's a macro that I have on my character that all you have to do is just hover your mouse over the afflicted mob and then press dispel, and it'll dispel them as long as your mouse is on them. But for some reason, I'm not using it here. And I kind of noticed a couple pools ago, I'm like, wait, don't I have a macro for this? You know, didn't I make one last time it was Afflicted Week? And I do. I'm just like, why isn't it working? Why is my Detox not working when I hover my mouse over it? So that's why you keep seeing me have to click the Afflicted mob and then go to their actual healer frame and dispel them that way. But eventually, I can't remember where in the dungeon, but eventually I was like, okay, screw this, what's going on? And I look in my macros and I get it fixed. So I promise you, I do know that there is a Mouseover Maccro. Some of you guys are probably screaming at your monitors, but just in case you're listening to this now and you're like, wait, there's a Mouseover Maccro, I will have my macro down below in the description. It works with Detox, and there's ways that you can make it work where if you do it over an ally, it dispels them, and then if you do it over like an enemy, it'll, I don't know, do like a Rising Sun Kick or something. You can do that, but I literally just have mine as my dispel, and it works. It still works when I hover it over a healer frame, like over one of my Grid 2 frames. So it still works there, but it gets the job done on Afflicted Week. Man, my voice is cracking today, but here we are on another one of these scary mob packs with all the Cloudbursters. We pop Yulon, and we try to get it done, but you'll see here, 2 Afflicted mobs spawn. I dispel one, and I take care of the other one with healing. We get slashed. I just panic like Cocoon. I'm not, like I said, I'm not as comfortable. I want to be as safe as possible in these dungeons. It's very clear that my DPS and my tank definitely know what's going on and are absolute chads. So I just want to not drag them down and not die super often. Now, here's a warning. I'm going to die a very stupid death on this boss. You will see me get caught off guard by some of the damage and some of the mechanics, and then also Afflicted throws a spanner in the works. Where does that saying come from? What does it even mean? But here, I know the mechanics of the boss. I know how it works. I know how to deal with it all and everything. But like you see there, I'm trying to get that Afflicted ad healed, and then I kind of forget about it because I'm like, oh, I need to move. And then it gets a cast off, and then one of my teammates deals with it. But so we start off at a very bad spot. We have an Afflicted mob get a cast off, and we're starting off from behind. So you'll see me with the healing. It is just not going well. We get a Shayloon's gift off that saves our life. I don't know how I survived that too. Shout out to like my 7% versatility because it saved me twice this dungeon. But yeah, we are just starting off on the wrong foot on this boss from way behind, playing catch up the whole time. Just horrible play from me. So I would appreciate it if all of you guys close your eyes right now. No. but we're still getting the job done. I mean, it's very sloppily. We've just mismanaged our cooldowns. Everyone's still dying. I mean, I'm just playing horribly.
Afflicted.
And you see there, I panic because
Afflicted.
the Afflicted ads come out. I'm trying to get us all topped up, and I just completely didn't even think about the ring. It just slipped my mind, but there's no excuse for that. That was just bad play again. And yeah, so I die there. Very stupid death. I haven't died to the ring damage since, I don't know, since I was like leveling my character. That's just like the only mechanic of the fight. There's two mechanics. Well, technically only three mechanics. You have to jump over the ring.
Afflicted.
You have to dodge the breath, and then you have to stand with the wind at your back. That's basically it. I'm not even counting the outer ring. So the fact that I let only one of the three mechanics go through is kind of like, it's just like very disappointing on my end. But yeah, we're just like I said, we are just struggling. I am using healing elixirs. I am dying. My group is dying. I was just spamming my life cocoon because I saw it coming off cooldown. Look, it sucks that I let a friend die. I definitely could have saved them there. Just, this is definitely the worst play of the dungeon by a lot. So, trust me, we get back to, smooth sailing from here. But my group is just absolutely gamers. Like I said, they are doing like getting to the wind side immediately. So it is decreasing the amount of healing that I have to do by a lot. It's just that I am not doing myself any favors. So hopefully you can learn from my mistakes here. Just like definitely see what I'm doing wrong and take it and use it. But I will say I do think this boss, although it's a boss, and I think that like the caster build is like really pretty strong on tyrannical weeks. I don't think it's even competitive with fistweaving though. I do think this kind of shows the power. Look, I'm playing it super sloppily, but the power of clouded focus just like shines through. Look how fast I can top people off if I wanted to. Why I didn't just do that the whole time, why I didn't just stop and cast the whole time, I have no idea. But look, we survive it. I say that even though we died, I think like twice. But I think this is the moment I set up my macro. But yeah, also there, I didn't even talk about it. My mana was struggling there. So very glad that we killed that boss. It got very tight, but my group is just, like I said, absolute pumpers. But yeah, I wonder, is this not where I set up my macro? I would think this is where I did it because we're coming up to the end of the dungeon. And I definitely remember using the macro for this dungeon, but right away, this pack, I remember it just like slammed you hard. So we pop our Yulon and we go in. Now, it's funny, I'm not even running Rising Mist, which is the talent that extends all your hots. But like even after I Yulon ramped, I'm just so used to trying to get a Rising Sun kick off that I roll in and do that. But no, this build is running Tear of Morning. I don't think Tear of Morning is ever better than Rising Mist, even in a build like this that's all about just applying a bunch of hots to people. Although it buffs your Vivify Cleave, your Vivify Cleave honestly doesn't really need it. And it's just not worth it when Rising Mist works like it does. It's just so powerful. It extends all your hots, which when you're playing a hot style build, it's just better to extend them, especially when the cleave doesn't really need the buff and how much it cleaves off of each Vivify. It would need the buff of how long those renewing mists are out, so how long it will sit there and cleave for. So definitely Rising Mist was the way to go. But like I said, I just slapped this build together and it was actually a ton of fun. I do like using Yulon in Mythic Plus. I do think it definitely has some merit, and I miss using it because we used to use it all the time. But yeah, I thought there I'd have to heal up the ad, but apparently not. But I definitely miss using Yulon. I think it's just very powerful. I'm the kind of person that loves Chi-Ji and Raid and Yulon and Mythic Plus, which kind of sucks because it's kind of like that's not what what we do right now, but it's also not what they're designed to do. So it kind of sucks being one of these people. But yeah, I just play this build for fun. I don't want anyone to go out and think like this build is better than the fistweaving build, because I don't want to be responsible for misinforming you. Oh, here we go. We're going to the macros. We're like, what's going on here? I'm like, where's the dispel? Where's the dispel? But you guys are probably staring at it. I'm staring at it right now in post. But But yeah, anyways, I don't want to be responsible for you guys going in and start like pushing keys or thinking that this build is better than the other build. But I honestly, this was my first key of the week. I just like kind of turned my brain off, and that's what this build kind of lets you do, is you can kind of just sit back and just like play whack-a-mole on health bars. But it is kind of toxic doing no damage in a Mythic Plus environment, especially when you're pushing keys like at the 23 level. Now, I do want to go ahead and say this because there have been some people that are kind of toxic in my comments and say things like this, but you see there, I just used the Dispel macro. All you have to do is hover over the guy and press your Dispel, but some people have kind of said like, oh, you think like plus 20 is a high level, LOL, like things like that, like kind of toxic comments like that. Look, not everyone pushed the season. There are some Mistweavers that can do, 29s, 30s, I think, at this point. I have not even attempted that, and I think I make a lot of mistakes, and I acknowledge that. I don't say that I'm the best player, but I timed to 23, and that is good for me, and I'm gonna I think that's good. I think it's good, and especially if I'm not like pushing at the top end. I'm surprised. I'm also surprised that I was able to do it with this build. This build is, like I said, it's just a suboptimal build. It's kind of like a meme in the community, and I'm sure you've heard people, make memes about Caster Monk and stuff, but like it got the job done today, and it was impressive. It was impressive. Also, if you look at my health bar, I have a nice little shield. I was also trying out Yulon's Grace, which someone said, one of you guys, maybe it wasn't one of you guys on YouTube, but someone commented, I can't tell if it was, or I can't remember if it was in my YouTube comments or in my Discord, but someone had commented that Yulon's Grace is so strong right now, it's easily like in my top 2 or 3 healing sources in a dungeon. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. You sold me. Oh, please roll. We did. I don't know why I life cocooned there. I think I panicked, but yeah, like I said, just not being comfortable with the dungeon or the play, but that is literally the only mechanic that you have to look out here in this pack. But guys, watching it back, it's so painful, but we got it done. Oh, hey, we saved it just in time. But yeah, so I was excited to try out Yulon's Grace. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I was like, second or third, that's probably a little exaggerating, or they're probably exaggerating, but I still wanted to give it a shot, and it felt good. I mean, there were, like you saw, there were some hits where I survived at like 1 health, and I definitely wouldn't have survived them without Yulon's Grace. So it definitely shocked me there and showed me its true value in those situations. But the thing is, like, if I had diffuse magic applied at those points in time, I wouldn't have fallen that low in the first place. But it's also like, would I have thought to press it at those moments? I don't know. And was it magic damage? Thinking back, I also don't know. But I was definitely impressed by Yulon's Grace. Now, was it in my top 2 or 3 healing sources? Absolutely not. I think it only did like 5% of my healing, which is a lot. I mean, it is for a talent, but it's not. It definitely was not like insane like someone was pointing out. But here on this boss, I remember I make a pretty stupid mistake. I was definitely GCD locked, which I don't know if there's a real term for this, but I'll go ahead and kind of describe it to you. When you're pressing one button, like you're getting a cast off, or maybe you're just applying a renewing mist when you should be using that GCD on something else, and then you go to press that other GCD that you should be pressing, and you're just locked out of that GCD. You can't do it because you're still in the animation of applying the renewing mist. I definitely have a moment of that here. And right as it was happening, I was like, why did I get greedy? There was no point. I definitely should have just stopped, like not casted that and done the safe thing. I truly think it was because I'm just not used to this build, just the flow of it and the buttons. And I definitely think it was just an error like that. It was just like I think it's called like mental bloat, or no, it's a mental load. Like when you have just like, when you add an element of thought, like one more layer of something that you have to think about to something, it makes it like exponentially harder. So when you have your boss mechanics, they're, a set amount of hard, I guess. But then when you add the single mechanic of Afflicted, all of a sudden you can see how much your brain kind of just starts to fire and think like, oh my god, I need to like do this mechanic, because it's one more layer on top of all the other layers. You see there, I kind of mess up the jump timing, but I don't know if you guys were paying attention there, but I got a life cocoon off with Yulon, and dude, just the amount of shields that we applied there is kind of nutty. But yeah, it's called mental load. And it's kind of interesting because I see it in myself. I definitely see when there's one more, just one more mechanic or element thrown my way, I see just how much more I struggle with dealing with all the rest of the mechanics that just a second ago I was dealing with fine. But you'll definitely see me die here. Oh my god, my voice just cracked like crazy. It's because I'm recording this early in the morning. Oh no, we let him die there. We had revival up. What are you doing, Chris? Come on. Right there, I definitely should have revivaled. I just I don't know what I was thinking or why I thought I needed to hold on to revival, but I definitely should have pressed it there. Yeah, spoiler alert, I should say. Oh my goodness, I am just not able to talk today. We definitely make a lot of mistakes here. Like that revival should have been cast a long time ago. We did not even need it there when we pressed it. But there is a moment up ahead where I get selected with the chain lightning while low, and just the buttons that I press and the order that I press them, even as I was doing it, I was like, why did I do it like that? Why didn't I just cocoon myself? And you'll see me die as I'm spamming my life cocoon button, but like I said, I was GCD locked. And it's just embarrassing. But you guys will notice the timer. We have like 3 minutes left, I think. The preview window is very small on my screen. But here, just life cocoon yourself. What are you doing? Why'd you healing elixir? Why did you renew mist? But there I was hovering it over, my mouse over it. I was like, come on. I was pressing it. But in the moment, I was like, man, no. But I definitely deserve to die because I just played that greedy. I really did. But we timed it with like over 2.5 minutes left. It was a 23. Look, that's the highest key. Is it the highest key I've ever done? I think I did a 24 Spires of Ascension back in Shadowlands. So it's not like the highest key I've ever done. But it's up there. It is definitely probably the hardest dungeon I've ever done. But we kind of cut through it like butter. My group was absolutely stacked. You guys see on the damage meters, we did nothing. So just know if you do want to take this build, I don't recommend pushing with it because you don't do any damage. But if you want to play a very chill way to deal with this week, especially if you're pugging low keys and you don't know if your group's going to help out with the affix, definitely try out this build. It's fun. It definitely is fun. Just know it's not as optimal as fistweaving. But that's going to do it. I'll show my damage sources and healing sources on the screen. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you guys like this style of video, the after the fact commentary. But anyways, I've talked enough, guys. I appreciate you watching my videos. Thank you so much to Aisley, who is currently my only Patreon. If you guys want to join Aisley, check out the link down below in the description. Show some support to the channel. It's the best way to do so. But if you want a free way to do it, liking my videos and subscribing to the channel is the best way to do that. Comment down below what you guys thought. How would you change this build? I definitely think there are some changes that we need. I didn't even talk about Focus Thunder. I'd definitely add Focus Thunder to this build. But thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.